It is time for another episode of the Cultural Hall. It is a Sing to Sport. We are mid-Olympics, and yes, everyone, the Cultural Hall still puts out episodes. It still exists. In times past, I have pre-recorded episodes that would allow me to pretend like I was still around while I was on vacation. I did not do that this time because, oh, I know everyone, poor me. Business is good, so I was working a bunch. But now we talk about members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who are involved in some sort of sport. And trust me when I say it's not just Olympics, and sport is stretched, I think, in some of the things that we'll talk about today. I'm joined by my friend C-Dub. C-Dub? Is that what I decided?
C-Dub, CW, the sheriff. There are all sorts of things you were throwing around. So yeah. I don't know. We'll see what lands.
See, I don't mind the sheriff. Because it makes you sound way cooler than just a guy who talks about members of a church who do sports. You know what I'm saying? It's like, right. I mean, yeah. You could be somewhere, and this happens on occasion, where someone will be like, "Oh, you're Richie from," and I have some cool things in my past, right? But someone will say, "Oh, you are Richie from," and people will care, or I should say, that person cares a whole lot, and then everyone else with that person does not care and doesn't understand why you would possibly care about that person. And I think it'd be great if someone was like, "Oh my gosh, you're the sheriff from the Cultural Hall." People are like, "What? I don't even understand what that is."
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna land. And to be honest, here we are talking about sports, and there's a famous sports player in my town here called Peyton Manning who has a nickname of the sheriff. So I don't know if I could feel comfortable taking that on when there's the Peyton Manning who's also known as the sheriff.
Yeah, and C-Dub makes me feel like I'm trying to be too cool. Like I also have to be like, "And you're skibbity," and all the things with that. And I don't know.
You're trying too hard at that point, I guess.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. And then you're like the person that is trying to give themselves a nickname like they all knew in high school, where it's like, "Nah, man, call me Ponzo." And you're like, "I'm not calling you that. I don't know why you want me to call you that."
I don't know. Well, this is on you, man. So whatever you want to do.
Okay. Although the name of Ponzo for you, for some reason now has
Ponzo. Well,
I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that is. So you and I, for the next little bit, as long as it takes, we think it won't be more than an hour, we promise, because who's got time for that? And we should be able to get through.
What is this? The Follow Me podcast? We got to get right to this. We're gonna get right to it and share everything we can.
Sharing his doctoral dissertation from a small town in southern Utah. If you assume, we've got the Sheriff Peyton Manning. Let's get into some Saints who sport, and I think it's probably top of mind. Maybe just like you've lined it out, we start with the Olympics. So,
whoa, wow, you've really got that tuned down. All right, well, with that intro, we're gonna get right into the news that probably you're most familiar with right now, and that the Olympics are happening, but we're gonna go a slightly different direction. The Olympics are also happening in 2034, in 10 years, Richie.
I happen to know where.
Oh, really? Yes, Salt Lake City. That has been announced. It's something we've known for a while. It made it absolutely official at the beginning of the Olympics here this year. So yes, they're back, Richie. Get prepared for massive amounts of people and for 10 years of construction, as if you haven't already had it. They have to, of course, beautify everything, expand all the roads. Hopefully that's one reason why they picked Salt Lake. They already have a lot of the infrastructure and the facilities they can update. So hopefully it won't be as drastic as it was 22 years ago, plus as the Olympics in 2002. But hey, we get an opportunity to come back and do that. So that's a pretty exciting thing. To be honest, we haven't had the Olympics in the U.S. since 2002. Now, in 2 years or 4 years, they will be in Los Angeles. So
I was just going to say, but they're coming back before
they're coming back before then. Yes. So we get them here in 4 years, but nonetheless, in 10 years, we will have them in Salt Lake as well. So pretty exciting. They'll be back. I did not attend last time. Richie, what did you do in 2002? Did you help out?
I should have. I bought into the media hype of Salt Lake is going to be a zoo. So 4 of my best friends and I from college, we hopped in my now deceased great uncle's Toyota Camry, and we went on a road trip wherein We slept on someone's front lawn in Mesa, Arizona, and slept in a it wasn't a tobacco field, but it was some sort of other field in a small town in like the farming community of California. And then we also, because I had a friend who decided to serve his mission a little bit late, we also went and took him out to dinner on his mission out in Ventura, California, to this one of the most terrible Mexican restaurants I've ever had. But we took he and his companion, and it's me, 3 girls, and then this other buddy of mine, and we're like, let's go, let's take him out. But I got permission. I went through the proper loopholes. I asked the mission president and said, "Hey, can we take Elder Richens out to dinner?" And they said, "Yeah." And we kept it in an hour. We allowed him to share a message at the end, all the things.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I'll be around this time.
Well, you'll be around, and you're going to be expected to be reporting from the front lines.
Mr.
Richie Stedman going live.
So I'm believing in the Oprah part of this. I would like to be, you know how last time they had the 3 mascots whose names escape me right now?
Yeah, they always have some weird. Yeah.
For the 2034 Utah Winter Olympic Games, I would like to be one of the mascots.
Oh, wow. You're just going to be the man under the mask, or just Richie in general, just gonna come out there in your Hawaiian shirt and show things off like, hey, this is the best Utah has to offer.
I like both of those ideas. Maybe both. I'm trying to figure out an encore career. But when I said that just a minute ago, I was hoping that for 10 days I would be costumed and wandering around and taking the picture with kids. I would sacrifice my body like that for the International Olympic Committee. So 2024.
Sounds good. Well, the church put out a statement. They say we stand ready to support the 2034 Olympic Games in welcoming athletes, volunteers, and visitors from around the world. The church is committed to efforts that make Salt Lake a host city that embodies values of service, cooperation, and mutual respect. So the church is, of course, saying we're here to help. We want to do all that we can to help. Previously, they allowed banners to be put across the church office building. So a giant banner there. They donated space for medal ceremonies. So right in the background, you could see the Salt Lake Temple. Chances are it's going to be featured pretty prominently, a lot of church stuff like that, because we're pretty well known for those things. Just like in the Paris Olympics, we got the Eiffel Tower just about everywhere.
Yeah.
Now I can't imagine it's going to be emblazoned on jackets, and it's not going to be in every single shot, but the media is definitely going to use a lot of that sort of thing, because it's definitely a big part of the community. And of course, the temple will be done by then. We'll have 5 or so years, if not more, under the belt of everything done with all of that. So, they'll definitely be ready. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if now the church goes, well, we're going to do more. Temple's closed for another year because we're going to change this, and we're going to do this on Temple Square, and we're going to buy up this lot so we have more space. Who knows? But of course, the church will be prepared.
Well, and the church will do the same thing again, I'm sure, with the call for volunteers, because the Olympics in 2002 couldn't have been the way that they were without the massive amounts of volunteers, not just members of the church, but the church did say, if you can at all possible volunteer for these games, get out and do it. So I think that'll be huge. I'm hoping this won't happen because it's irrelevant and only a few people will get this reference, but I'm committed to the bit. I'm hoping that Mitt Romney will say, nope, guys, I'm going to pass on organizing these Olympic Games. I'm going to let John Huntsman Jr. go ahead and take it this time. I know he was mad last time. John, go ahead. You got these. So that then finally that feud can be laid to rest before those gentlemen are. So those are sort of some of my Olympic hopes.
We'll have to see. Mitt Romney will be even older than Biden is right now. So, will Romney be fit for office to do such things? I doubt that. So John Huntsman, definitely not. So, we'll see.
No,
we'll see.
John Huntsman Sr. is dead. John Huntsman Jr., the one who ran for governor.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Let me ask you, do you know at all what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know their feud. I know what's going on.
But that's what it stems from.
Yeah.
That's where it all started.
Because of the Olympics. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you knew the whole thing about it. Okay.
I did. Yep. I read the biography. All right. So should we go live? Should we go over some of these things that are happening right now? with
Yes.
to sport. Even as we record at this time, we've got some Saints who are sporting at this very moment. And pretty exciting to be able to report on some of this. Of course, by the time people are listening to all of this stuff, news will probably be over and things like this will already be done. But nonetheless, there's some exciting stuff going on. We've got the United States men's soccer team is competing against Morocco this very moment in the quarterfinal. They are losing
Oh,
1-0. So we'll see how that comes. We'll see what happens there. But why is that important? Why am I reporting on this? Well, we have a member of the church in Taylor Booth from Utah who is competing in the Olympics. This is the first time the men's team has been able to be in the Olympics since 2008. It's pretty much been the all women's team that has been able to do well here from the United States. So Taylor Booth, he is there at the moment. And I'd have to really get into details to see, how well he's been doing here. I did not look to see if he's scored anything throughout these Olympics or not. But nonetheless, at least he and his team are in the final 6 in their bracket here. So we'll see how that comes and what happens there.
Now I'm hopefully asking a question you know the answer to, and I would imagine I know the answer to this as well. But Olympic soccer, once you lose once, you're done, right? Or like
It's
if you
interesting.
draw,
I don't know. I don't know with this one specifically because there's a lot of pool play with a lot of other things. We'll talk about some other events here in a little bit where there's just losing, but they still have a shot, and we'll kind of see where that goes from that point. But nonetheless, So this one though in the quarterfinals, if they lose, then they are out from that point.
Okay. Take me to rugby.
All right. Should we head on down to rugby where we got some great results there? We've got 2 different players here playing both on men's and women's team. We'll start with the highlight here. Women's team has already taken bronze for the United States, which was quite a surprise, at least from my view, right? United States rugby, what's happening here? They took bronze here. They did a phenomenal job. Stephanie Rovetti, a member of the church, who we've got another story that we'll come back to and share here in just a second. But from Nevada 32, they won bronze. Great opportunity for her to be able to do that. They lost initially to New Zealand, who you'd expect to lose to, and they went on to win gold.
Sure.
But they did do that. Now, Stephanie does have another interesting story that has come out about her. So, as we scroll down here, let me see. Where is her other story? Where did we put
Right
that?
here.
Do you have it somewhere?
Just below. Yeah, I got you.
All right. Well, do you want to cover that part while I'm looking for it?
So, Stephanie Rovetti is a lifelong athlete, thrived in rugby, comes from a religious background. Why, she was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I say was because she didn't start playing rugby till she was 26 years old. In college, she was part of the BYU women's basketball team. They reached the Sweet 16. If people know about that, that's a little while back now. She's from Reno, and she was encouraged by her younger sister Morgan, who played for USA in an under-20 rugby competition, to go, hey, let's do this. Stephanie, come on, let's go. I guess the reason why she's left the church, or one can assume, is because she is a lesbian who said, hey, you know what? I don't know that there's really a place for me within the church, but honors and respects the upbringing that she had growing up. There's a huge cover story that speaks pretty positively about her church and upbringing that you'll find in a link in the show notes. But pretty amazing to hear not only the story of her sister inspiring her to do it. They have a brother, Jack, who has Down syndrome. And just to be able to, embrace who she is and now be a bronze medalist at these Olympic Games. And you have to say that way, these
of course,
Olympic Games.
She says, coming from a religious background, I hope to be a representation of courage to be your authentic self.
Yep.
And to be honest, Richie, I think she may still be an active member because the church did a profile piece on her. They did talk about her. And what I've generally seen in these Olympic Games, when the church says something about you and recognizes you as someone, you're also an active participating member.
Interesting.
So that's just my assumption, just because she's on the church news website and they are highlighting this. So she may be an active member and participating in the LGBTQ community at the same
So,
time.
so I have seen something about her as far as a relationship though goes. Anyway, it's too
Oh,
bad
who
that we
knows?
have to
Yeah,
go, oh, if she's in a relationship, then she's
maybe.
likely
Yeah,
not, and all these kind of things around her. The
you have
point
to read
is,
those things.
she's think about that. So 26 years old and played basketball in a competitive way that they made the Sweet 16. And then at 26, sister comes and says, "Hey, would you like to be an Olympian?"
Yeah, switch to rugby.
Switch directions. Obviously, her sister didn't say, "Would you like to be Olympian?" But then think about that. The skill and prowess of an individual to be like, turn on a dime and then be amazing enough that you are an Olympian. Not me. I sat in my kitchen yesterday and thought, is there anything that I could start trying to do right now and still go to the Olympics? And the answer is no.
Of course, nothing. I don't know. There's some pretty awesome people that just go out there and just do what they got to do, and you're just like, man, you're awesome, and you're doing nothing else. This is what you specialize in. So just you gotta find your thing, Richie. What are you good at? What can you
Okay.
bring?
I'll figure something out. I'll figure something out.
All right. Well,
Where's taking us next?
okay, well, continuing on rugby here in the Olympics, we got Make Unufe from Utah as well, 32, played on the men's team. Unfortunately, they didn't fare as well as the women's team. They finished in 8th this year. In 2016, they were in 6th, and in or 2020, they were 6th. 2016, they were 9th. So we really, our best showing in the last decade or so has really just been 6th place. So never done as well. Of course, women's hasn't either until now. So congratulations to the women's team. Glad they were able to move forward from there. Moving on to some other active events, pistol shooting.
We got a pistol shooter?
We do. We got a pistol shooter in Alexis Laga. And she's originally from Nevada, I think, and she's here in Colorado right now, where she lives and she practices and gets ready for the Olympics. This is her second time competing in the Olympics at age 31. So at the time, I wasn't able to find any results for her. I'm not sure what I was able to find. I'll have to search again and see what I could do here. But nonetheless, she is competing in pistol shooting, which is just a air rifle, little pistol, like my kids have these little BBs to shoot. So here she is competing in that, and wish her the best. If she has not competed, again, I couldn't find the results at the time.
I don't know that it's occurred yet. She did go to Tokyo in 2020 and got what, 16th, 38th, and 18th. Here's the deal. I think we sometimes get so focused on the fact that it's like, oh, you didn't get one of the medals, right? Just going to the Olympics. Heck, I couldn't even stick around in Salt Lake in 2002, just to go to the things. I just think some of these athletes are so phenomenal what they've done.
Yeah. Well, and that brings me to another story I hear, the next one. Mr. Jimmer Fredette, probably the most prominent member that we have in the Olympics, and fairly well featured when it comes to Olympics in general. You turn on Peacock and you've got his image in a lot of places. So clearly the producers are throwing his image out there. But I say unfortunate because so far they are 0-4. And even the last 2 games, Jimmer sat out with an injury. So he's the best player on the team. They got 2 more games here today. This is one that they have pool play, so it's not obviously 1 and out. But at 0-4 so far, you're really hurting yourself in that pool play to be able to even get into any bracket here at the end. And if you do, you're pretty low seated as well. So we'll see what happens. Jimmer is 35. He lives here also in Colorado, but from New York originally. And he has the opportunity to be that face. And I read a piece here the other day saying, why do we suck so bad at 3-on-3 basketball? Women's is doing that much better. And it's mostly because we just don't make it a priority. That season, the athletes that are in there are not NBA athletes because typically the NBA happens the same time as the 3-on-3 tournaments around the world. So we can't send our best, so to speak.
Sure.
So instead, as this article put it, instead we're sending some 15-year has-been from college, is with Jimmer Fredette. And he is the best one on the team. And nothing against Jimmer's skills. Like, man, he does quite well. He is still very idolized in some ways by many people, even in my own community here. So he definitely has the skills here, but he's not the NBA player that we're seeing on the men's basketball team in what they're doing and how they're dominating that tournament right now. So unfortunately, he's not doing as well. Injured, of course, but also his his whole team at 0-4. Hopefully they can turn around today and win their next 2 games.
Well, and I think on things like that, it seems like once USA starts to focus on things, and by that I mean, people are able to make money off of it, I feel like then we start to change, right? Like rugby in the United States hasn't been a thing yet. Not really. But now, like Salt Lake has a rugby team. I'm not sure if Denver has a rugby team, but you're starting to see some of these places pop up and do it because they're saying, "Can we make money on this?" And then people are saying, "Oh, I can play this game and make some money, and it might be a little bit easier than play in the NFL." Boom, I'm in, and you'll see that sort of swell go that way. I mean, in Salt Lake 20 years ago, I went up to Rice Eccles Stadium to watch the first season of Real Salt Lake back when they didn't even have a stadium, right? That's the Major League Soccer here. Now we've got a massive field in the center of the valley. We've got a training complex on the other side, a massive field downtown. Like once people realize, hey, this can be a money-making thing, it's terrible that that's what motivates us. But there starts to be all the attention to it. So trust me when I say 4 years from now, the players on our 3-on-3 basketball team will not be Jim or Fredette status.
Well, and piggybacking on how we got into this at the very beginning here, 0-4. If he comes home with no wins and no medals, I think he's going to be pretty humble by that and have a lot to say. And he may still hit the fireside circuit and going out and just talking about his Olympic experience and how losing every single event and getting injured, what it did to him and how it helped him. At least we hope so, right? We hope these things when you hit bottom make you a better person. I think it will with Jimmer. He's an awesome guy and very active in the church and does a lot of firesides in general. But, I think those are going to be just as compelling things as it is to say, hey, let's welcome Mr. Gold-winning Jimmer Fredette to talk to us about his experience. I think his experience are going to be, just as equal. So it's just to go, just to do is going to be a great experience for any of these athletes.
What I think is funny on that is just think about how much shade we're like, hey, you can't win at the Olympics.
Yes, and here you and I are sitting in our basements. Yeah, right. Yeah, I gave up running already. Speaking of running, should we go to track and field next?
Yeah, I'm just taking a quick look at how much we've got. We've got
a lot of stuff, so we can fly through some of these things since track and field hasn't happened yet. We can cover those in detail. We've spoken about these people before. You've heard their names. They've been around and competing often. Whittni Morgan, 26 from Utah, will be in the 5K. Then we've got several steeplechase racers, which of course is a very interesting event. We've got Courtney Wayment at 25 in Utah, Kenneth Rooks, 24 from Washington, James Corrigan, 22 from California. So we've got some awesome people here. We've got, I think all of them were from BYU at some point and competed there. They have some great things. They talk about focusing their life on Jesus Christ. It's just like focusing on the end of a race, doing all that you can to be able to be successful with this, that even when you fall, you get up, you get going again, do what you have to do. So we'll follow their results here. They're coming up here shortly. We've got a couple other ones that you've heard about, Connor Mance and Clayton Young, who are our marathon runners, and they'll be competing here soon. I have to say this, though. Clayton Young, his quote, I put this in here because I don't believe this. He says, a marathon is very simple. I don't know about that. It's just 26.2 miles, 42.2 kilometers, 1 foot in front of the other. The gospel is also very simple. But at the end of the day, both can be very tough. So an interesting quote from Mr. Clayton Young here, that they can be hard and they can be simple at the same time.
Well, I mean, I'm a marathon runner, Chris. So let me just go ahead and speak into this for just a second. It is, and I have thought this before sometimes, as far as the gospel as well. It is so simple. Simple. Not easy.
Just 1 foot.
I mean, literally, right? Like, hey, don't be a jerk to people. We're talking about gospel, not marathon running now. But like, don't be a jerk to people and every day try and be better. Yeah. I know there's a lot within that.
Boil it down. Pray, read your scriptures, go to church, right?
Yeah, but all that is every day try and be better.
Yeah.
And don't be a jerk. That's it. That's the gospel. I know. roughly paraphrased. But a marathon, yeah, it's 1 foot. It literally, you can, and anyone can complete a marathon if it's 1 foot and then the other.
Yeah, he says he loves how running essentially breaks your body down one day so you can change, become better runner the next day. So same sort of thing where we're failing each day, and the next morning we wake up and go, I got to be better. So we'll definitely be watching them. They got great chances in the Olympics with running. They are serving our country here in the United States. But there is one more that we must highlight. We cannot miss him. We've got Peter Bull from Australia, who is a member of the church. And as best as we can tell, that is the only other member of the church that is outside the United States in the Olympics this year. And this is his third Olympics, and he runs the 800 meters. So that's going to be a fun race for him. For those that don't know how far that is, go look at your high school track. That's 2 laps around the track. So keep that in mind there. But Mr. Peter Bull from Australia did want to highlight our international member as well.
Also worth noting that right before the Olympics started, they did a big fireside. We sort of alluded to that earlier. And people were able to go, and people were inspired, and they said Jim or Fredette, and another guy that was an Olympian,
Peter Weidmar.
Yeah, back in '84. Doesn't matter. We've had the opportunity to interview Picus Pace, Noel Picus Pace, former Olympian, member of the church. Great episode. I'll put a link for it in the show notes. Let me make a note to that. I'm trying to be better. on the show notes, everyone. Hold on. Noel Pace episode. There's stories. It doesn't matter. They're all amazing, all inspirational, all here's the adversity and being able to come over it. I think that's why people love the Olympics so much.
Yeah.
Let's take a break real quick. And when we come back in the second half, we are going to pick up all the sports that are not Olympic sports. We'll come back and do that in the second half of Saints Who Sport. BestDJinUtah.com is the website. That is where you go if you would like me to come and DJ your event. Now, will I do a family reunion where you all wear the same t-shirts? You bet I will. Will I travel to wherever you're at? Am I reasonable as far as what I cost? Yes. Do I bring a good time? Yeah, all the things. Listen, Best DJ in Utah, it's my company. It's a thing I do that allows me to be able to have the time to do the cultural hall. So if someone's getting married, you think, man, they need a great DJ. You're throwing a party, whether it's a 50th or 60th or 40th or 20th or whatever the party is. I've done them all and would love to be able to do that. An anniversary party, certainly done those. I did a baptism in 2023. Yeah, we did a big dance party at a baptism. Spoiler, not a Mormon baptism, but it was fun nonetheless. BestDJinUtah.com is a website. I will get back to you within 24 hours with a quote. Come on now. BestDJinUtah.com.
Imagine running a small business today. It's challenging. Imaging and internet presence is an absolute must. Even with that, you're still a small star in a bright cyber universe. Now, imagine you have someone who understands how to get your site designed for your talents and then easily searched by potential clients. Imagine Lennon Design. Whether it's strictly a website or a whole package of logo creation, advertising media, and promotional materials, Lennon Design is your partner in business. They'll test the boundaries of their imagination to create something unique for you. When you need creative, affordable design, let it be Lennon Design. Call 801-699-3022 or visit LennonDesign.com.
Here in the second half of Saints Who Sport, it's all sports that are not Olympics. A quick reminder to everyone that you can become a Patreon Saint of the Cultural Hall. Simply go to patreon.com/The Cultural Hall and do it. You've heard me say this a bunch of times. Do you like the Cultural Hall? Now I take it almost as a personal offense that you haven't become a Patreon Saint. Like, I'm listening to you, Richie, and I just don't care. It hurts me. Let each lash that you give by your non-giving motivate you to go to patreon.com/The Cultural Hall. And here's the deal. Maybe you're like, listen, I don't want to do the monthly thing. I've seen the Rocket Money mortgage ads, and I don't need all those monthly subscriptions, and I want to be able to have a car, and I don't want the Patreon to be something that's going to keep me from it because I didn't know. That's a tangent for a different time. But you can do just a one-time thing. Contact us, contact@theculturalhall.com, and you can make a one-time donation, and it helps. It helps a lot. We're going to do a new video system. Our YouTube channel is taking off. Thank you to Grant. We've got some cool things coming. because if it doesn't end up getting better, I'm pulling the plug. We're done. I'm walking away. We're going to gas it up and burn it down. And you could be a part of the not gassing it up and burning it down.
Wow, really laying on the guilt and the shame, as best as our church leaders try to get away from that, Richie's just going full on.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal. You are a longtime listener. You know that sometimes I'm just like, hey, I really appreciate it. Sometimes I'm like, hey, I don't even put any emotion behind it. I'll just say, hey, this is available. But today, if you have felt something stir within you, I encourage you to go to patreon.com/the Cultural Hall and become a Patreon saint, or I'm taking personal offense at it.
No, you're going to start comparing notes and go, all right, who's joined?
Yep.
All right,
yes. Here. In fact, here, I'll take it one step further. If you join Patreon and become a Patreon saint at this point, so as we record this is the morning of August the 2nd, where our team is down 0-1 at the time of this recording. Everyone who joins for the next week, I will mention your name and we'll talk all about how fun your name is in depth in our next Articles of News episode, right? So if no one does it, I won't have to worry about it. But if it's 20 people, I'll say Chris West. That's an interesting name. I wonder if people call him the sheriff. He's from Colorado. Interesting. We'll do all that. That may be incentivizing people in the wrong way. Don't listen. Just become a Patreon.
Especially those introverts are like, wait a second. No. You're not going to talk about me.
Yeah, no, thank you. Patreon.com/the Cultural Hall. All right. So now what? We're to the NFL.
Sure, we can talk the NFL. They are a few weeks away from starting their scrimmages, so to speak, with their preseason play. Mm-hmm. And we've got a couple of members throughout the NFL. The ones we specifically wanted to highlight here today are on the Philadelphia Eagles football team. And what's interesting is we have two active members of the church. They both serve their missions down in South America. And so it's quite rare to even have members that are in the NFL, especially active members, and even rare to have them both on the same team. Mr. Britton Covey and Tanner McKee. So here we've got both of them that are serving, I believe, I can't remember. I didn't write down their positions. I think quarterback and place kicker, or
no. Britton Covey, I think, is a safety or he's special teams something. I'll look it up. Keep going.
I think he was special. I'd have to look at that. I don't have it pulled up right now, but really cool that they talk about being able to meet each other. They were excited to have other people of the same values, as you can expect, as we do in the church. Who are your closest friends? Probably members of the church. Who you hang out with? Members of the church. That's the way it is here. They talk about things that they do. They hang out with each other and their spouses. They're both married. And so, they spend a lot of time one-on-one. So it'll be interesting to see. Of course, we are going through preseason where week to week they do cut people. So will these two still be on the Philadelphia Eagles team? We shall see in a few weeks' time. But nonetheless, two members on the same team who have become fast friends.
Well, and Covey played last year, so likely they'll keep him around. He's 5'8" and 173 pounds. He's rated 63 overall in Madden NFL 2025. And he is a wide receiver for the Eagles. And Tanner McKee, I think, was the Stanford quarterback.
Okay.
Let's see if it has his ranking in I'm trying to see if it's got his Madden ranking for 2025 Madden. Here we go. Yeah, that's apparently a thing. How interesting. Oh, okay. 58. He's 58. Yeah. 58. Yep. I have no idea what that means. Assignment for next Saints Who Sport. Tell me not only who the number one field rating for Madden 25 is, but also tell me why I would care about that and what makes that up. I know it's a video game. That much I know.
That's interesting. Interesting indeed. All right. Well, that's all we have for the NFL right now. There are some other members or members adjacent that are competing to have a starting spot here in the NFL. So we'll see who pops up here. Nothing that I can see in the NHL and NBA happening. So if anyone has any news that they're aware of within sports, please let us know. NHL, NBA are in their off season, so we have not a lot of news from them in general. But if you have any news about members in either organization, do send it over to the Cultural Hall so that we can be aware of that.
And that's contact@theculturalhall.com.
Contact@theculturalhall.com. But there is an active season in Major League Baseball, and we're going to report on my home team here, the team that I grew up with, that I've been rooting for since I was 8 years old, the Colorado Rockies. The Colorado Rockies invited the Denver North Mission to come and sing the national anthem. So a pretty cool story highlighted by the Church News. Essentially, a member of the church who has some ties to the Rockies recommended to the mission president, hey, you should do this. And they're like, that sounds awesome. And so the opportunity came up and they did that. On June 24th, they did sing the national anthem to a very empty, very hot stadium. You look at the pictures, there's not a lot of people there. It's been very hot here in Colorado recently. Not a lot of people there, but they missed a showdown because when you invite the missionaries, you're inviting the home team to win by a large margin. And the Rockies beat the Boston Red Sox 20-7.
Oh my gosh.
About a slugfest.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Right. That's pretty exciting.
My hope is that it went something like this, because it's 180 missions, right? Or missionaries. Was the whole mission that sang that Star Spangled Banner? They're like, oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. By the way, I've done that professionally one time. I'll tell you that story another time. We have more time than Saints Who Sport. So they go, and the land of the brave. And then the mission president is like, all right, we're not sticking around for the game. Everybody back to work. I want 100 doors before you go to bed tonight. It's not about numbers.
Out front.
And takes the bus and gets them all out of there, or goes back to the zone conference and doesn't allow them to watch the baseball game.
Well, thankfully they did. They did let them do that. They were sitting in the upper stands. They've got a special section for those that sing the national anthem. And so
that's cool.
They were up there. They got to enjoy it. I'm in not the Denver North Mission. I'm in a different mission. I asked the missionaries here, what are you going to do? Because they're all jealous. Of what the Denver North Mission got to do. And they're like, whoa, we're going to go do NFL. Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck. I would love to see that, but we shall see what happens. But now,
like, what are you going to do? Probably just my mission, like the Lord asked me to.
Yeah, we'll see. Now they all want to up. They're already jealous of the Denver North Mission. They do some pretty cool things. So interesting there. But that is it for our major sports here in the United States. So continuing on here to some other things as we look at all of this, I've got BYU. We've got, Richie, you sent me this story here. We've got a new player who had committed to BYU in, oh my gosh, why didn't I write his name down? I have everything else about him. What is his name? He's from Sugar City, Idaho.
Here's what I know about him. He's a big boy, and that's why BYU is really excited about him.
250 pounds.
Yeah.
Man, now he's not straight out of high school, came from a mission. So I don't know about you, Richie, but on my mission, a lot of those pounds I gained came from my mission and all the food I was eating. So, but here we have Boyd Sorensen. There we go. From Sugar City, Idaho. So he's coming off his mission, and is common with BYU. They will sit him out for the first year. That's called gray shirt. So they will sit him out. So he still gets to be on the team, still gets to compete here for multiple years. But to avoid injury, because he didn't play for 2 years, he's got to get himself back in shape. But yeah, they were very happy to have a big boy, a big athlete here on their team.
I'm trying to find out a little bit about President Clausen, the Denver North Mission, what his because like Lloyd Newell, he was the music and the spoken word, and now he's mission president. I'm trying to find out what Elder Clausen did, and as near as I can tell, it doesn't. Now, I was trying to find out if he, one of these professional guys or coming up through the church rankings like that. Couldn't find anything about it. He's a handsome gentleman, I guess, is where I was going with all that. Mm-hmm. All right. Take me to, let me get back to this. I went down a rabbit hole while you were speaking. Take me to soccer. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, let's see. We can go all over the place. Well, I don't know. Let me cover some other things, but we'll come back to this soccer story, because that soccer story is pretty. We're talking about member adjacent, so let's save that one if we've got time.
Okay.
So rugby. Let's go to some rugby news on across the world here. We've got David Feiluai. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but he started playing rugby professionally for Samoa. Then he went on a mission And as it happens with a mission, you're not going to play these sports very often. So he was recruited to go play in Romania for 5 years on their rugby team. But he's now back in Australia playing for the Wallabies, a big team there. And one thing I learned was quite interesting. The NFL is pretty big in Australia, Richie. A lot of people watch it. They're pretty excited about that. But also it's a big target. They really try to get a lot of these rugby players to come and play in the NFL and try to recruit them. So he really tried to get on the NFL radar. And he does a lot of things that they say, go play footy. I had to look that up. What does it mean to play footy? And it basically means anything football related. And those that know their sports history, rugby, soccer, and American football are all related. They all come from the same sports. And it all originated here in original footy games in rugby, and they've all evolved over time to their own sports. So they basically say, play any of those games, do what you can, even go play in Romania if you need to after your mission to get your feet under you, and then hopefully you can get in the NFL, which he hasn't at this point, but nonetheless, he is going to play on a good team there in Australia with the Wallabies.
There's a great picture. Click on the link in the show notes, everybody. How do you know you're Mormon without saying you're Mormon? Look at David. The picture of him, if I were to pick a guy who looks like a Mormon guy who is from Australia, anyway, if you just look at him, it is the epitome of what a guy from there looks like if he were Mormon. Trust me, I'm not making crap up. Look at it, and you'll go, yeah, 100% that guy. All right, we still have a lot to go. Let's kick these real quick, pun intended. Okay. How about we do the Frisbee? Ultimate Frisbee?
Ultimate Frisbee. All right, we got 3 teens. So this is not an adult competition, but these are teenagers competing in the World Championship, which again is not the Olympics, nothing like that. This is just teens repping the USA on Team USA. We got a few from Texas and from Utah. They're 3 close friends. One of them, Sam, is going to be going on a mission to Peru. And he talked about how he loves this sport so much because it's self-reffed, meaning you don't have a referee out there telling you, oh, foul on this person. Oh, turnover on this person. And he says you have to be a super honest person when you're playing. Integrity is a huge thing in the spirit of the game. It's a huge part of the sport. And so he's very excited to be able to get into this because it helps prepare him for his mission, because you have to be honest. You have to be fair that you dropped it, that you didn't catch it, that you went out of bounds, that's whatever that might be. There's this self-reffing thing. You're really holding yourself honest. And so these 3 teens have become fast friends, one of which is about to go on a mission here. They're really excited for that. So go Team USA in the Ultimate Frisbee World Championships.
And then let's go to Colin Chandler.
Colin Chandler. All right. Yes. So Colin Chandler just came back from serving a mission and is very happens. We see a lot of people come off the mission. Where they usually go, Richie?
They go to the BYU typically.
Oh, that's what you would think, right? But hey, that is not the true, because Mr. Mark Pope just left BYU to go coach at Kentucky. So Mark Pope, former basketball player for BYU, he is now going to go play in or go coach Kentucky. And he's already taken another BYU player in Jackson Robinson. And here we've got Colin Chandler, who had originally said he was going to go to BYU. That's what he committed before he served his mission to Sierra Leone. But hey, Mark Pope moved and he wants to play for Mark Pope. Yep. So we may end up getting a lot more members here in Kentucky. We may report on a lot more members as they play here in the NCAA Kentucky basketball. So we'll be excited to see him and other members playing there in that area.
Now, we've got one last, 2 last stories, I guess I should say, because the soccer story, let's do that real quick.
Okay. Yeah. This one was about as a stretch as we could. So we got a coach for England who is not a member of the church. And he says, you know what? I'm going to read this book by a member of the church called 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. So Mr. Stephen Covey, member of the church, no longer with us, passed away several years ago, but he really applied this to his life and he was really excited. And as we all know, for at least those of you that have read this book, it's like sitting in an elder's quorum lesson. You hear a lot of things that you talk about being highly effective. You go, those sound like gospel principles to me. Being written by a member of the church. So as we all know, if you're going to read that book, well, you're just one step away from realizing that church is true and you're going to get baptized.
There it is.
So maybe we'll be
like that was prophetic.
Who knows? Who knows? So I don't know. That's about as adjacent as we can get.
He found the Covey book, and the cover had
Found a Covey
long
book,
since
yeah.
been worn from it. He didn't know what it was, and now he finds himself a member of the church. Okay, so you did not mention this. This is
What did I skip?
probably the biggest story.
Which one?
C-Dub Chris West, the sheriff, whatever we call you. We have to get into this.
Which one are you
Yes,
talking about?
I'm still having, just so
Tell
you
us.
know, on the Rovetti thing, I'm having all sorts of like inner shame that I assumed that she was no longer active with the church because being part of the LGBTQ community. That's on me, everyone. I apologize for that. I also have reached out in the time that we've been talking to try and get her on an interview. And yes, interviews are coming back, everyone. But this is the thing. This has nothing to do with this. You have not brought up Michaela Skinner, Sister Skinner, throwing the shade. The shade.
Don't have that one listed here. So
At
just
gold medalist Simone Biles.
well, except for some. Okay. Let's give some context here. Before the Olympics, actually, let's go back even further. Michaela Skinner was one who stepped into the team to help out Team USA in the Olympics previously. When it was was that Tokyo? Yeah. When Simone Biles had to step out because of she just wasn't there. She wasn't focused. She wasn't able to compete. She just didn't do all that she needed to do.
For her safety and well-being, she said, I'll allow someone else.
Yeah. So Michaela Skinner, member of the church out of Arizona, if I recall, she stepped in. She did well. She competed. She was a great member of the team to highlight. You know, gymnastics generally gets a lot of coverage here in the U.S. Our team does quite well. And so she competed. She did well. She did not make the team this year. And whether that was because by choice or not, I don't recall. But she did.
She got a silver medal in Tokyo. After stepping in for Simone Biles. And I don't think that she stepped in. She has at least a child now. And I think she said gymnastics, at least as far as I know from this part of the story, is sort of my past.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But so then she put out a lovely social media post before the Olympics and said, you know what? To paraphrase here, I don't think this team has it. They're not like they were before. No, Simone excluded. Simone's awesome. Simone's great. But the rest of the team, girls just don't work as hard. They just don't do as well as they should. And so, yeah, you can imagine Team USA not being too happy about that stuff. But nonetheless, they went on to compete. And guess what they did? They won gold as a team and a lot of individual events as well. And then we had Simone Biles, who wasn't too happy about that, even though shade wasn't specifically cast at her. She had her own tweet to put out there. Do you know what she said, Richie?
Go for it.
So Simone Biles, let's see. I'm going to try to find the exact thing. What did she say here? Her not so subtle jab that she threw out there.
So specifically, she said, but besides Simone, I feel like the talent and the depth isn't what it used to be, right? I just noticed, obviously, a lot of the girls don't work as hard. And then she kind of comes back and makes this apology to say, I mean, I wasn't talking about the current team. I was talking about gymnasts in general. And then she tries to do this coach that apparently rode them pretty hard. And then she does the thing that you never do when you apologize. And trust me, I have offended in a large scale before, where I said, for those of you who are offended, when you apologize, don't lead with, for those of you who are offended, just apologize. I am sorry that I said this. I never intended for that. It is never good to be like, well, if you're offended, then that's on you when you're making the apology.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can't find the exact line that she uttered here, but after they won that, she basically put it out there and just said, you know, just a bunch of girls with a lack of talent and a lack of work ethic over here winning gold medals. So without calling Michaela out by name, clearly pointing out like, yeah, you didn't know what you're talking about, and you shouldn't say something like that. So pretty funny, just kind of going back there, this back and forth here, and she of course is not competing here this time around, and she has since apologized, did not mean that, but nonetheless words were said and the internet will never forget.
Well, and it's people blocking one another. I think that Simone has blocked her, or Michaela blocked her, or I don't know. It's interesting to me though that the because it seems like whenever it's a member of the church that has done the thing, the story is always led with, A member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints calls out gold medalist Simone Biles. You know, it hasn't been that at all. In fact, very rarely have I even seen the Michaela Skinner, and it shouldn't be. Don't let anyone think that I'm saying, oh, no, they should. But it is interesting that they haven't made that connection with that. So,
yeah. Yep. Well, and we'll see what happens. We got the Olympics in 10 years in Salt Lake. We're going to hear a lot of church news. I think Saints Who Sport will have a lot to talk about in that time period. And between now and then, if anyone has any stories that we are missing, let us know. If you've got connections to any of these athletes in the Olympics or anywhere else that you think would be great interviews, please let us know, as we would love to get them on the show. Love to hear their experiences of being a Saint Who Sports. And we'd love to be able to share that with everyone else as well.
Contact at theculturalhall.com. Chris, you do amazing work. Thank you for putting this all together. It is Saints Who Sport. It is over. We are done. We hope that this episode has nourished and strengthened your body.
That if you're sick and couldn't attend, you'll be able to listen to us next time.
And that when the time comes, you will be able to travel home in safety. In the meantime, Chris at Alpine Lakes Travel, Rick McGee, Debbie Wanless, Chocolate Cake Bites Podcast, and the Tiger with a U will be saving a seat for you
on the back row
of the Cultural Hall.
Save me a seat, it's sure to be neat on the back.